Up with the birds this morning. There's quite a lot of them about 5 a.m. First thing, going to put some more fuel into the main tank from the reserves, and then pack up and go and have a look at a gap and a palm tree, I think. I was going to think about staying another night here, but there's a forecast for thunderstorms. That may or may not have rained, but those river crossings were, well, one was touching the fuel tanks, the spare one, so I thought I might see if I move out tonight instead of early in the morning. I'll play that up by ear. But right now, pack up, refuel, pack up, and then head to the other end of the park, see what we can find. I emptied the jerry cans into the main fuel tank. That was both tanks, 10 litres. It is just about full, so I've got about 400. I think I'm still good. I attached the jerry cans back onto the bike. Then I remounted the panniers. They go on as easy as they come off, with the 2 clips at the bottom and 2 levers at the top, which you screw up tight to lock it in place. I broke down the tent, then packed the bags onto the back of the bike. Bike's packed, so let's go check this place out. I made my way out of the camping area. Then onto the main track between the 2 ends of the national park. And of course, a few more streams to cross. But luckily, these ones aren't deep, like the ones on the track on the way into the national park. It's the first main stop for the morning. This is some palm trees, I think. We'll find out. I'm going to have to change pants and jacket, leave those here, lock them to the bike somehow. Not that anybody would steal them, but Murphy's Law, if I leave it unlocked. And it's about 2.2k. It's going to be a little heavy with the backpack because it's full again. Everything's in it. I guess I'll live. Okay, changing. You don't need to see that. How cool are the little green plants? They're quite spiky. They look cool. Bit of yellow wattle. Imagine when it's in the wet season, the rain coming down off that thing. You can see the darker grooves where the water falls. Slight error. I just checked the map again. While I was looking up, I got onto the wrong track. Haven't gone far, about 400 metres. And I got plenty of time, so we're waiting for something to happen at the gap. And I've probably got 2 hours before that. Now hiking up the river bit, I think. See what we find. Seems we've got a little rock to get through. Might put the hat on backwards so I don't hit my head. Need to do the hands and knees to get under the backpack under here. Wow, look at that. How orange is that? Told you there was a palm tree here. Or 10. The walls are 200 metres high. wonder if the big one is the one that they talk about. Go see the one palm tree. What a stunning canyon. How orange it all is. Is my complexion going really orange? It's like instant tan for photos. That's amazing. So much cooler here. It's all downhill, so it's going to be good on the way back. Got a few photos. See how we go. You just can't help but stop and gaze up at the walls. I squeeze my way back through the canyon. Oh, she's tight. Made it back. One more spot to check out in the national park. See what that's like. It was only a few kilometres down the track to the last spot. I parked the bike and locked my gear to it. Then made my way to the next canyon. More very, very, very tall rock. Very orange. Walking more riverbeds. This is cool under here. There were sections that there were no obvious signs of a trail, but I gather with giant walls either side, there's no need to define the trail, as you can only go one way. Must be getting close. It's getting very narrow. So much cooler here. Temperature-wise, it's cool too. Echidna Chasm was formed millions of years ago by erosion along the weak points in the sandstone called a joint or a fault. This is a spot I wanted to get a photo, but you need to time it just right with the sunlight. So while I was waiting, I went a little further up to where it narrows again. It's hard to show how high it is with nothing to reference the scale. I went back to the part where you could see the sunlight inching its way towards the gap. I realised I was probably at the wrong end for a photo. I mean, if you had a phone camera, this is where you'd probably take the shot from, as everything is set to automatic. But I had a camera, I could control everything. So I moved back through to the other end. And it seemed I'd worked out the right end just in time. Well, made it back to the bike. That was pretty spectacular, the light. So hopefully the photos turned out as good as it looked in real life. Maybe not, but we'll find out. Now, it's out of here. River crossings, 100 of them. Don't think there's that many, but there's definitely more than 7. Hopefully the water's gone down a little on that deep one, or I just don't screw it up. I'm going to have wet boots tonight. Going to get some water into me. It is really hot, and this is winter, or up here the dry season, and it's still really hot. It's over 30, probably 34, 35. Sun's beating. Yeah, alright, I'm going to put long pants on, riding jacket back on. Going to enjoy it. Hopefully I don't fall in. There were a few dry riverbeds covered in river rock, which are a lot larger and, well, a lot looser. It hasn't rained here for over a week. That would mean a lot of water has drained out of here. I would have needed a mask and snorkel to get through here if I'd come then. I had hit something large underwater, and I just wasn't quick enough on the throttle and clutch to stop it from stalling. I pushed it out as fast as I could, but luckily I was close to the bank. Everything looked fine. Now to see if it would start. The sign said 34 kilometres to the highway. That's 34 kilometres of winding dirt roads and river crossings, which was epic in my book. There is so much water in my right boot, some in my left, but so much in my right. I think the water level is actually a little lower, but I hit something. I hit a rock. Luckily I didn't get stuck behind it. I hit it, moved to the side, and I got a metre or so before it stalled. So it meant I was a little higher up the bank, which the exhaust obviously was just out of the water. So when I stopped, got off and didn't start anything, just pushed it out. So got through it though. Yo! I wonder how much water's in this boot. How good do you think the socks are going to smell by the end of this? Oh well, it's a couple of deeper ones, but not real deep, so we should be good as long as I don't hit anything again. But it is a lot of fun. On the way in, I'd come through the right side of this crossing and dropped off that ledge. Not sure how high the lip was and the part underwater, I thought I'd play it safe and go along the left side. I hit one large rock, then another and another. I kept the gas on as I was thinking just get to the bank and out of the water. As the bike was caught on the high side at the edge of the trail, I took my backpack off to make it easier to lift the bike. I got the bike back up. I had a quick look over it to see if there was any obvious issues. Then I got back on. But I'd flooded it. Bikes aren't fans of being on their side. Flooded it, but we're away again. I waited 5 minutes for the fuel to drain and got it going again. This was my last river crossing. A little rough, but not deep. It seems I'd made it in and out of the Bungle Bungles in one piece. Now I just had to deal with a little bit of corrugated road. Yes, on a dirt bike or enduro bike, you're supposed to hit these things at speed. But with all the gear on the back, lithium battery, solar panels and camera gear, I was going to have to choose the slow option and just rattle along. I was constantly searching for the smoothest patch, but it seems the four-wheel drives have even corrugated the road into the grass. Made it. And corrugation at the end, it's probably about 10k or probably 20, is brutal. And because I got so much weight on, my suspension is pretty crushed down, so it's not doing a lot. So I have to slow down. And the coming off, that was, I just got a little out of control, hit a few rocks, and then it was like, just get to the bank. The whole goal was to get to the bank. Because if I get there and fall off, it's okay. If I fall off in the water, then there's more issues that can happen. So luckily I made it to the bank after bouncing off about 3 or 4 rocks. But no, all good, all fun. I turned back onto the main highway with plenty of daylight left to ride. Came upon a very slow moving caravan. There was a bull on the side of the road. I gather they were sightseeing rather than paying attention to the road, as the animal was off the side of the road. More one-lane bridges. Pulled into Warman Roadhouse, as it was the first place I could get a signal on the phone. Looking at what was ahead and the time I had left in the day, I decided to make my way to Kununurra. So I booked a campsite now, knowing from previous experience that if you don't book before 5 p.m, there's a good chance that they'll be closed. These are the first horses I've seen roaming wild out here. Then at 100 kilometres an hour, my back tyre blew instantly. I wouldn't say it was the greatest feeling in the world, but I was able to keep control of the bike and bring it to a stop, even though it was crabbing sideways. And let's just say there was quite a large adrenaline spike. As luck would have it, a family from Kununurra had seen what had happened and pulled over to help. With it being a long, hot day already, being drained and fatigued, with the adrenaline spike on top of that, it took a few minutes to start thinking clearly again. And it was actually comforting knowing that someone was there. No matter what the issue was, there'd be a solution, even if it meant a lift to the next town. So I got on with checking the tyre, which was blisteringly hot, but had nothing penetrating into it and had no holes. So I got on with changing it. When changing a tyre, 4 hands are way better than 2. The father of the family just made it a lot easier and faster helping me. I found out they were originally from Vietnam and had come here for a better life over a decade ago. And they absolutely loved Kununurra. So I got the tyre back on and sorted. They had given me a piece of cardboard to work on, wipes to clean all the grease off, and basically anything to help. I thanked them so many times, probably until it got annoying. But it seems rare these days that people are willing to stop for an hour to help a total stranger. Cool. Yeah, it's still okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I took the first part easy, just seeing how the tyre performed, making sure there were no issues. I'd lost an hour, so I'd be riding into the night. But it did mean I get to see the sunset go down over these hills. I then noticed something in my mirror. The family who had stopped had caught back up, but they didn't pass me. They just sat there behind me in case I had another issue. Sometimes you meet the kindest people. As it got dark, the family in the car passed me, but they did something unexpected. Well, after spending an hour with them on the side of the road, it probably wasn't unexpected. They just didn't drive off into the night, they stayed at my speed. They'd gone in front of me, basically guiding me to Kununurra. I then noticed my fuel was quite low. Well, it was on empty. I hadn't filled up at the fuel station I'd stopped at when I was looking for somewhere to stay. Going off the distance from the campsite at the Bungle Bungles, I technically should have enough fuel. So it was time to hypermile it, doing whatever I could to reduce fuel consumption. Just so I didn't turn a very long day into an all-nighter. The family hit the brakes. They'd spotted cattle I couldn't see until I was basically next to them. Finally made the turn onto the Victoria Highway, which was only 25 minutes from Kununurra. We had made it to the Kununurra Diversion Dam, which is only 5 kilometres from Kununurra. I had to be running on fumes alone now. We had finally made it into town. I saw 3 sets of hands waving out the windows. I'm not sure if they could see me waving back with vigour. I rolled into the fuel station, filling up now so I wasn't pushing my bike around the streets of Kununurra in the middle of the night. I made it to the campground. Now hopefully I could find the lockbox they said my booking information would be in. So now I just had to remember the code. Well, that got interesting. Made it to the camp place, caravan site. Luckily I rang up early because they left, no one's here obviously, and they left instructions to get a key in where the campsite was. That flat tyre, it just instantly went, started crabbing sideways, and that first initial thing is like, what? And then it's like, oh, and then it's, okay, what are we going to do? Slow down. It was fine going a straight line, but the road started to bend and there was nothing coming, so I just drifted with it and got the bike to a stop. And then that incredibly nice Vietnamese couple who helped me change the tyre to start with, and wouldn't leave without, making sure I'd got everything done, and then followed me back. And then when it got dark, they got in front of me, stopped one bird strike, a whole flock of birds just came out, and the car took the brunt of it. At least one died. And then the cows. I couldn't turn the camera on to show you sooner, but it's just out of nowhere. They've pulled up and there's cows there. Oh. So, whoever you are, wherever you are, thank you for being really good humans and just guiding me in. Then there was a petrol thing. I made it. It wasn't empty, but I made it, and but I was still looking, going, oh, here we go. It's been a long day, an eventful day, a good day. Some things going sideways a bit, but got through them. Basically, I think the valve blew out of the tyre was the issue. I don't know if that was because on dirt and maybe the tyre, like you know how you have those stoppers in dirt bike tyres to stop them spinning. So maybe that happened. The valve was on an angle, or or when I slowed down, the valve could have blew. I don't know, but there's no nails or screws or anything in the tyre itself, so it was hot. I ran my hand on the inside and it was really hot, but there was nothing there, no holes, and it stayed up. I'm going to set up a tent, pass out. My feet are still soaked and they're going to be white and pruny, but we'll deal with all that tomorrow, and I'll have to find another tube because the valve's gone wrong. Now, trying to find a campsite in the dark is challenging. I put my head torch on and took off the gear off the back of the bike. After an eventful day like that, I took my time setting up the tent. There was no rush, no stress. As I know, things could have turned out differently. I mean, I could still be walking along the highway right now. And who knows how long I'd be out there.